I'm a really firm believer that cannabis will turn into wine. I believe that once cannabis is able to grow in the same regions that, the soil that grapes are grown in, that we're going to have some really beautiful stuff in the future.
Make sure you know what you're getting. Don't just go buy something off the shelf. Ask questions. Always know what you're putting into your body and know the benefits of the things that you're putting into your body.
My plan is to continue picking off just about any kind of chronic illness or chronic condition and how cannabis is superior as an intervention versus, the mainstream model.
It's Reefer Madness, the podcast with Trevor and Kirk.
Kirk, we're back.
Hey, how's it going, Trevor?
Good. This is, I think, the second time I tried recording one of these Zoomy call-y things from out at the lake. The cottage hasn't changed, the lake hasn't changed, but Wi-Fi out the lake is a nice thing, solves one of my other 20, first world problems. What do I do if I want to be near a beach and record a podcast?
Yeah.
We can do that now. So, Kirk, I'm going to ask you about an upcoming vacation, but first I'm going to jump into, I just got back from, I guess, my yearly-ish fishing trip with a bunch of high school buddies, and it was fun. We caught a lot of fish, saw some people I haven't seen in a long time, yada yada, that good stuff. The weather was awful. First day, we were delayed leaving because of thunderstorms, and then we were rain, and my rain pants splits, my crotch got wet, all the good. And then day two, just this huge wind. We decided we finally should go out fishing in this, it's a big-ish lake, but this is not ocean waves, but they're little boats on a big-ish lake. And the guy I was driving with, full credit to John for his amazing boating skills, but we really shouldn't have been where we were because, we were just fighting wind and waves and on the brink of capsizing once or twice just because we really want to fish this one area where there's a whole other freaking lake too. But anyway, that aside, good times. I brought out, because it's now officially on the market, and we'll give a plug for one of our previous guests, Doffin's own Green Craft Cannabis is now officially on the market in their own name. So I brought out some pre-rolls, I brought out Galactic Cake, and I bought out Death Bubba Kush. And I think everyone I'm fishing with is now tired of me saying, have you tried Doffin's own Green Craft Cannabis yet? And so people seem to try it and like it, and Doffin's own Green Craft Cannabis. Ask for it at your local store whenever you can.
Or listen to past episodes. Episode 126, we talked to Green Craft. We talked to an episode 81. So yeah, we've talked about Green Craft, and we also have an upcoming project working with Green Craft. So yeah, local producer. Try them out.
It is. Yeah, no, a local story, local company made good.
But here's a question.
Yeah,
you're
sure.
on a raging lake storm, and those people that understand being on lakes, those storms can come quick and pass quickly. So are you saying that bringing out the Green Craft calmed everybody down?
It's more like after we left the lake.
Oh, okay.
Whether we want, we would never be promoting, intoxicated boating or fishing, because that would be bad. And in all fairness, just trying to keep the boat upright. There wasn't a lot of time for a beer or a smoke or anything. It was oh my God, I think I have a fish. How are we going to do this? Well, the boat is going to crash into those rocks. Little things.
Yeah. Northern Ontario or northern Manitoba?
We're still in Manitoba.
Yeah.
We're close-ish to the Ontario border, but we fly. My hometown's Pinawa. We drive a little bit out of Pinawa to Lactabani, and then we fly north out of there. For those of you who want to Google it, Google Erdley Lake. And
is it just
middle of nowhere?
Just a little
northeast,
a little west of Red Lake or of Pungassi and those communities.
It is. I checked because why not? We're a little bit north of Pungassi.
Yeah, I know that area. It's lovely up there. Big lakes.
This is not a huge, but big enough, and especially for the wind direction.
Yeah.
But instead of being in the middle of nowhere, you and Michelle are going to go off to somewhere where there's lots of people.
Yeah, we're taking a little bit of different holiday. We're leaving for Barcelona next week, and from there we're going to Morocco. I think we're spending 3 weeks in Morocco, and we're spending some time in Spain and Portugal. So, yeah, and all of those countries are medicinal cannabis. So I'm hoping to come back with stories. I hope to come back with stories from Morocco and France and Portugal. And anywhere else I go, maybe an airport, maybe the Calgary airport, I'll find a cannabis story.
Excellent. We can't wait, and neither can the listeners. But let's bring it back to Dauphin again. Kirk, we are talking to, I think it's very safe to call friend of the show, responsible for our theme music, Desiree Dorion. For people who haven't ever heard of Desiree before, shame on you. And Kirk, tell us a little bit about Desiree.
Well, Desiree Dorion, you hear every time you hear our theme song, Soul Back Jack. That's Desiree's song. She gave us permission to use it. She's a country indigenous singer-songwriter. She grew up. Again, you got to know where we live, right? We live in a prairie valley. So we're between two mountains. We've got the Duck Mountains and we've got the Riding Mountain National Park. Mountains is a relative term when you live on the prairies.
Yeah, they're Manitoba mountains.
Yeah, well, Riding Mountain is the most southern boreal forest in the world. It's undulating. But Desiree grew up very close to the Dauphin Country Fest and was a young girl that went to country music festivals and dreamed of being a country music star, and she's become one. She's Juno nominated, multiple songs she's had on the top 10, top 100 in Canada's country music charts. She's a going concern, and her webpage will be linked to our her webpage is always linked to our webpage.
Yes, it is.
So Desiree, I mean, she's been singing 15 years. I know her personally. What I found interesting is that Michelle, my wife, is a journalist and local journalist in Dauphin, has interviewed Desiree a lot, and I believe interviewed Desiree 15 years ago for her first album. Little did we know, 15 years later, I would also interview her as a traveling band in her car. What we got is that we've got
But I want to throw in just because
Yeah.
I love this part. And, everyone from Dauphin has to be an overachiever. Not just a country music star. She's a lawyer. So it's not like she's doing nothing in her spare time. She did well in that their school and went and got that their bar. And, this country music thing, we hope it makes her millions. But it's not like she doesn't have a backup plan because, she's a bit of an overachiever.
I wasn't going to mention her backup plan. Yes, she was called to the bar, and she's also a facilitator. She works in a business for herself now in facilitation. But in this circumstance, she is a traveling band. And I've seen her live so many times. I've seen her acoustic, and I've seen her strum a guitar. Now, I didn't want to talk about the quality of the guitar playing, but I did. I mean, what occurred to me as I was asking her a question, as you hear this, I guess as you go into this, I ask her a question, and she basically tells me that she is the eye candy, and
she's eye candy.
Yeah, and we should just go into the interview.
It works out well. We'll hear some members of the band, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we come back.
Yeah, we'll come out. Go into the interview. Desiree, I guess introduce your band.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm probably just going to let them introduce themselves. But just by way of background, like we've been playing live together for, I think just a year, all of us. And I say this everywhere I've been going because we've been getting some really fun bookings in the last few months. And, I love my band. These guys are like my brothers. We spend a lot of time together, on and off stage. And, I feel right now with where I'm at in my career, that these are the best group of musicians I've ever worked with. And I know that they've got my back, no matter what. So I love working with them. And, this is a cool, another cool opportunity that they're always just so open-minded about these things. And so when I said, "Hey, you guys, you want to do this podcast?" They're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So here we are. But I'll let them introduce themselves.
Who wants to start?
I don't know. My name's Bram Avery. I play all sorts of instruments, and music is my passion and my world. And I'm very fortunate to be able to share what I do with these amazing people and get to spend so much time with them and make beautiful music and be trusted with their art.
So, are you the percussionist? Are you the strings?
I guess I'm the keyboard guy. I get to make all the weird spacey noises in the background.
Okay, and you've been playing for, I guess, all your life, or?
Yeah, I've always played something. Yeah.
Okay. And without outing you, I guess, are there other musicians you've played with, and how long ago? Like turn of the century ago kind of stuff?
I have played music with a lot of different people, some more notable than others. But right now playing with Desiree is probably taking up the majority of my time.
Okay. Are you based in Winnipeg?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Well, that says enough there. There's enough musicians in Winnipeg to keep you busy for years.
There certainly could be, yeah.
Yeah. Michelle and yourself.
Hi there, Kirk and Trevor. I'm Michelle Briere, and I've been playing for 30 years professionally, but I've been dabbling in the music and drums. I'm the drummer. I've been playing drums since junior high school. Grade 7 is when the transformation happened, and heard the music room, and I'm like, what are those loud banging things? And it was the drums. And my teacher was nice enough to teach me everything about drumming. Most notably, I worked with Buffy St. Marie for 14 years. And I've been with Desiree Dorion for just over a year. She called me and asked me if I wanted to record with her. And I got nervous because I knew who she was. We never met, but we with the Indigenous circuit, we kind of know the names. And I knew the name when she popped up. And so I started to research some of her music, and I'm like, shit, I was like, it's like, it's not a genre that they know this too. It's not a genre that I'm familiar with, but the songs that she sent me were right up my alley as an alternative drummer and what I can offer. And it's just been a really awesome ride. There was a bit of a down, and I don't want to get into it, a down spiral after the Buffy, what came out and whatnot. And I really got to thank you, Des, and for lifting my spirit and bringing me back into the music scene in 2024 last year. And here we are. It's funny that she gets us into these, like I'm so used to hotel life, Kirk. You get your hotel key, you go to your room, right? But this band has just been amazing. Like it's the Airbnb effect. So we're all like in the room, we're all playing music, and then of course some of us are out smoking pot, So, but we're like, it's a community. It's very family, and like what Des saying about us having her back, that's what it involved, and just us really like getting to learn about each other.
Very cool. So obviously you're the strings then, Desiree.
What's that?
You're the strings. You're playing the guitar. You're doing the melody.
No, I'm the eye candy. Come on.
Well, I've seen you. You've had the guitar on stage.
Well, play might be an overstatement.
Okay. All right. So have you guys traveled across the country? Where have you been in the last year?
Oh my gosh. We've been to the west, like as far west as Prophet River First Nation, which is right along, it's northwest BC, right along the border, the Yukon border, close to the Yukon border. We're actually heading there next weekend again. We've been as far east as almost Ottawa. Michelle and I and Leroy, who plays bass, we went there last summer as a 4-piece. But as a band, we played a festival in Toronto this year for National Indigenous Peoples Day. We've been down to Nashville together. And we're heading to Germany in less than a month or so.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's go. Start talking about pot.
Michelle thought you would never ask.
There you go. So as artists, is it something to say? Is cannabis part of an artist's world, in your world? Like you guys play instruments. Is cannabis always been there?
Okay, I'll definitely speak up. Yeah, it was. Of course, I'm sorry. Of course, I smoked as there we go, right? Of course, I smoked as a teenager, but it was something that stayed when I got into like rock and roll, or like got out of high school and got into your first band, and like the drinking was there and stuff like that. But pot seemed to be like always, like you're traveling to the next gig, somebody's got a bag of weed, and and then and to be honest, it was just coming, and then you go forth, like you just asked that great question, when it was a part of your life or your music career. You think about it now, and then you go, how many bands and how many artists have I met that we shared smoking pot? And to be honest, I'm going to say about 75%. Like I'm talking, I got to meet Cyndi Lauper. I smoked with Neil Young.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. I'm always a little shocked when I run into somebody else and I'm in Australia, and then Sinead O'Connor will ask if do you got another joint? I'm like, yeah, sure.
That's cool, man. That's one person. That's one hand I'd like to shake. I'd like to thank Neil Young. He's been in part of my world for the last 50 years.
You know what? I was so blessed because it was the artist I was working with. His name's Keith Secola, and he was such a huge fan, like a huge fan. And we just happened to be at the same festival. So Keith made sure that we got to go meet Neil was with his band Crazy Horse, so we got to meet Neil and Crazy Horse. And then he made sure he had chairs for us on the monitor. We're watching Neil Young and killing it to 90,000 people in Denmark. And then during their encore, he whispers and he calls us behind the curtain.
Stop.
That's when he has a joint for all of us. And I wish this was in 1996. I wish we had cell phones, because I would have just been like, I can't believe we're in this little circle. Like,
you're smoking backstage with Neil Young.
I was screaming for Neil Young, exactly.
Just before
I was 26.
Okay, the interview is over, gentlemen. We can end the interview now. Fantastic. Okay, so Bram, beat that one.
You got to give me.
I don't think I have any stories that are that crazy. No Willie Nelson in an outhouse behind the White House kind of a deal for me. But I mean, weed has certainly been something that's been around all of the circles I've been in my entire life. I grew up in a home that had a lot of musicians in and around it, and it was always something that I saw used. And when I was a teenager, I kind of tried that out for myself, and it was definitely, like you said before, definitely more of a party thing at that stage. Trying to have fun, trying to escape, trying to do whatever. But yeah, as I've gone through my life and things have changed, it's certainly something that's now more medicinal, more even a routine sometimes. Most of the people that I play with before we go on stage, especially if Michelle and I are together, that's definitely part of our pre-show ritual, and it just sets a nice tone for what we're about to do. Puts you in a good creative space and makes you very relaxed and receptive and aware of what's happening around. And I think in our industry, that's not a bad thing.
Well, it's almost stereotypical, isn't it?
It sure is. Yeah. That almost like it. You try to get away from. You try to to explain it, but it's just you can't explain it.
I'm not a stereotype. Not at all.
And there, like you said, there's half the band outside backstage just before the show. Yeah. No.
And Desiree, you 15 years you've been singing professionally with an album.
Yeah, like more full time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a pot smoker. full disclaimer. And you and I have had this conversation, I think a couple of times, Kirk, over the years, that I actually have asthma, and so for me, any kind of smoke ingestion is a really bad combination with that. But what I have found over the years, and it's still not 100%. It's gotten a little bit better, and Bram and I have talked about this, is that when you're traveling around a lot from hotel to hotel room, and sometimes you're in different time zones, and unfamiliar scenes, unfamiliar rooms. I've struggled with insomnia a lot over the years, and so for me, what has worked really well is indica gummies. And I take indica sometimes, especially before this band got together, like when I was traveling alone a lot, because my partner's in our band, he plays bass in our band, and so I don't struggle with insomnia as much, but historically, like it was really bad. Sometimes I'd be up till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then have to get up the next day to get to work, and head to sound check and all of that stuff. And if you can't sleep, it gets really challenging at times. And so so that's worked for me. But what I will say from a band leader's perspective is that I much prefer guys who are if for folks who are using some kind of a substance, I much prefer guys who are using, or girls who are using pot as a substance, as opposed to alcohol or something else. Like I feel like, and I have played with players who are intoxicated, when they get on stage, and it's embarrassing, quite frankly. And so pot just doesn't really have that obnoxious effect.
Well, that was one of my questions. It was going to generally be, what is the comparing alcohol to pot? And the whole premise is, you guys are a traveling band. You're spending a lot of time on the road. So how compare alcohol to pot? I mean, the stereotype is, the drinking and drug addicted artist that jumps out of the hotel room into the pool, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're speaking candidly here, and I have no problem sharing any of this information, but like, we're not like super straight-laced people, but we're also still professional at the end of the day. If we get hired to play a show, we're coming and we're playing that show to the best of our ability, and we're bringing, the best possible show that we can deliver. Is there booze on the road? Is there, pot on the road? Of course there is. But we're not letting either of those things interrupt the work that we're doing or affect the work that we're doing by any means. And so, I think that I have seen alcohol be problematic for, certainly some of the folks even that I've played with. And it requires hard conversations with some, I've had to have hard conversations with people that have been in my band previously. But my take on it is, so long as whatever substance it is that you're choosing to use, so long as it's not affecting the work that we're doing.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Desiree, I'd like to go a little further on those indica gummies. How did you learn about that? To try that?
I'm trying to think of how the hell I learned about that. Oh, you know why? Because when I was a kid, every time I would smoke pot, because like when I was a kid, I smoked pot just to fit in with my friends or whatever. But every time I would smoke pot, it always put me to sleep. And so I just kind of never used it because it was boring for me. Like I don't want to go to sleep. It's 8 o'clock at night, and I know I'm gonna go to sleep. And everybody's response was always, "Oh, you're not using the right kind, or you're not, and they always had some kind of reason as to why I was falling asleep." And I can't remember who I was having that conversation with, but oh no, I remembered that it always made me fall asleep. So then when pot became legal, I went to the, I don't know which store it was, but I went to the pot shop and I said, "Hey, is there something that can help me sleep? Because I struggle with insomnia." And whoever it was just explained to me that, this indica stuff will knock you right out.
Put you in the couch. Yeah. Interesting, because what you've just demonstrated there is how how you're truly using cannabis as a medicine. I mean, by definition, you're taking it to sleep. So you learned, and this is just a commentary as a nurse. This is what's happening in Canada right now. People are going to the rec shops to learn how to use cannabis as medicine.
Yeah.
And I find first of all, as a nurse, I find that incredulous. However, it's the way of the world, and it happens in organic conversations like this. And when you look at a product and it says sleep ease on it, so, well, hey, that's going to help me sleep. So
I never took those kinds of, I was always scared to take pills. I remember having a conversation with my family doctor about my insomnia and what options were available to me. And like, she was going to prescribe me sleeping medication. And I thought, well, I'm not taking that because I have no idea what it's going to do to my creativity the next day, or, how long is it going to stay in my body? What's it like? Am I going to be able to? And then there's certain medications, and you'll know this, that there are certain medications that will actually affect your vocal cords and your, other parts of your body. And so I'm always kind of hesitant to take something without really knowing what the full implication of that medication is. And so it was around probably about 10 years ago where I started exploring other alternatives, and indica's worked really well.
That's cool. Well, I always say that when you go see your family doctor, what do? They practice medicine. So they're going to give you medicine, and they're going to give you pharmaceuticals, and cannabis is not considered a pharmaceutical, though people use it as medicine. Perfect example. How about the backup band there? You guys, you're backstage with Neil Young blowing a fatty, but are you using that now that we're legal? Do you find that you're using cannabis different?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. It was the same for me. I don't know when it happened. I think it was legal already, but like I said, I've been a 30 or 40-year pot smoker, and it was during the travels, Kirk. So I'm going to America before legalization in America, which I love that a lot of states are now legal. But imagine, so, I go to America, I'm cut off from weed until I go like find a dealer, And my band at the time started to, try to give me their like pharmaceuticals, melatonin and all these other things. And first of all, I was just against that type of pharmaceutical. And I tried it, and it didn't put me to sleep. And then when the gummies started to come around, or I think I found somebody who was making cookies or brownies. That was the first taste of eating something, and it did its job. It knocked me on my ass. I just finished like a music rehearsal session, and the lady came to drop off some brownies for the singer to take care of his arthritis. Older gentleman too. And that's what she was like, this is like what you're saying, like a doctor, right? She's coming in, giving him his little brownies. And then he looks at me and he says, and I kind of said, oh man, I'm a little tired. I hope I sleep tonight. It's just common talk. We all talk on the band, on the stage. And he heard that and he said, hey, Michelle, take one of these, take half a brownie, he says. And of course, I ate the full thing. Yeah. Yeah, and I was in my room and I could not, and I just and I let it take its work. I was like, holy smokes, I'm getting really tired. And I'm like, I want to sleep. And I woke up that next morning and I was like a fan. So like Des is saying, like we're going to Germany, and that's going to be a long trip. My first instinct is to go to my dispensary and make sure like I eat a ton of gummies for my body and for that whole relaxation of sitting in a chair,
I think Germany now is legal for medicinal.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
I think so.
I don't know if it was me trying to influence Desiree, but she's got us flying into Amsterdam.
We're flying into Amsterdam. I don't know if that's a coincidence or a gentle manipulation, but
well, Michelle and I are we're on our way to Spain, Morocco in a couple of weeks here. So I'm quickly Googling Morocco, and they're medically legal. And and of course, they're also the biggest exporter of hash as well. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I got to figure out how to get to that region that the most hash is go run through a cannabis field and make hash. So, and Bram, are you using cannabis medicinally at all?
Yeah, I mean, with myself, I'm a pretty tall guy, and do a lot of standing up, moving around, spending a lot of time cramped in tiny vehicles. Sometimes getting where we're going. That's it's hard on the joints. It's hard on the knees. And I used to use gummies a lot. But with everything being illegal, it's easier to get. Well, certainly in Canada, it's easier to get flour or go get a vape or go get something pre-roll. And with them being able to break down all the different components that make up what maybe people just thought of as weed. Well, now we know with different cannabinoids and things more targeted how it'll affect your body, so you can take stuff that's more going to physically put you at ease and not cloud you mentally, so you can still get through your days. So that's a big part of the reason that I like to use pot.
I'm going to talk about jurisdictions, you guys. Going all the way to BC, I was out at Haida and we went up to the northern part of BC there, so Danes Lake and that sort of stuff. So do you guys consider jurisdictions when you're traveling? Like, do you ever cross your mind crossing provincial borders with cannabis, or has that ever bothered you, or any problems with that? Like in Manitoba, in Manitoba there's no legal place to consume cannabis except your residence, right?
Yeah.
So BC is a little different. You can consume cannabis, I believe, in any smoking area, I think, because there's usually a leaf and a cigarette that you can consume here, especially at the Vancouver airport. So have you ever had a problem with jurisdictions?
Yeah, that's I think one of the strongest, well, not one of them, but I'm sure my wife hears this one, but I went and attended our last condo meeting. We were living in just close to Deep Cove on North Vancouver. Before we've been residents of Winnipeg for about 4 years now. We've been out in BC for quite a time, and then I thought to go to my first condo meeting.
Oh, okay.
I went down. I think we both went down, and in beautiful BC, we're on the mountains. And we voted, I guess, because I was, what was I doing? I was smoking on my deck. I was outside, I'm in the woods. The trail was right there to nature, right there. And people walk by our place, our condo area to go to the trails. So I'm smoking outside and I can hear somebody on the third balcony bitching and complaining about smoking. And then that was one of the topics at the condo meeting. And so what did we do? Or what did everybody do? They voted to smoke indoors. Nobody's smoking on the condo grounds anymore. And you should have smelled the hallways and the elevator. All of a sudden it smelled like a hotel, like an old 1990s bar. Like it would smelling like cigarettes. And then I didn't smell pot, but what I smelled was a lot of, like, you can smell the cigarettes,
Yeah, interesting. Actually, I just did some research. We're doing a commercial. We're working on a commercial, Trevor and I, and we're talking about using your music, Desiree. But condo associations in Manitoba they're allowed to designate an area for consumption, for smoking and vaping, as long as it's 8 meters away. So if you belong to a condo association in Manitoba, you can vote, I guess, and create a smoking area. It's one of the exceptions in small print.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that because I had the government online, and I said to him, there's nowhere to legally consume cannabis if you're a renter. Where do they smoke? They can't smoke on the street. They can't smoke in the backyard and they said, well, that's just the way to go. So she basically said, well, maybe they can eat it instead. And I said, well, okay, thank you for being open-minded, but it doesn't solve the problem, So, yeah, but there is a small thing that apartment dwellers and, I guess, condo people can vote, so they can't do that.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So I ended up having to go up the trail, or at late at night, I'm in the washroom, like, by my fan, like, it was just like, what am I living like?
Live in the 70s again.
Yeah, totally. I was like, I thought we voted on this, and like I thought it was cooler, like I can't believe we like when it was okay to sit outside on my chair,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it bothers a few people, and we're smelling gases. Like there's a plant beside us and stuff. I'm like, okay,
People are weird, eh?
yeah. I just don't to get it. A plant scares you. It's like, what?
I didn't ask you, Desiree, do you use cannabis for songwriting? Do you use it in creativity?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, I find for me, I am my most creative when I am completely substance free. And if I'm going to do a writing trip to Nashville, because I love wine. I admit that I love wine. These guys know I love wine. But I really try and clear my head and give myself some like a period of clarity before I go into writes. And I'll often even try and like head to the lake for a weekend just to, I find that I gain more clarity when I ground myself in nature and the outdoors and stuff. And so for me, that brings me the most clarity.
That was a mess.
So yeah. No, that was great. That really, really was good. And we went out in on eye candy. We'll come out on eye candy.
Yeah.
You know, the lawyer, band leader, guitarist, vocalist, songwriter. Yeah, she calls herself eye candy. Sure.
Yeah.
You're everything else, Desiree. You might as well be the eye candy too.
No, and she is in the front of the band. And it didn't occur to me. I mean, when I was talking, I met her band, right? So here I'm thinking, as you know, naively thinking, she's a three-piece band. she's not a three-piece band, and I'm trying to think, have I ever seen her play in a three-piece band? I don't think I have. So no, there's a greater band that didn't join us, but the three of them, it was fun. Like I think this is one of those podcasts, Trevor, that I think you're gonna have to watch the video.
Well, no, but even there's the stories for the audio only, because as usual, I'm usually doing something while I'm listening to these. Kirk, I can't believe you haven't jumped up and down on Michelle, backstage in front of 90,000 people smoking a joint with Neil Young. Kirk, a little jealous?
Okay, I'm now 1 degree removed from Neil Young again. I mean, I became 1 degree removed from him when we talked to David Crosby, and I'm now 1 degree removed again. We will eventually get Neil Young on this podcast. I truly believe it's going to happen. And yes,
yeah,
there he was. I mean, in what was it, 1996? He said 96.
That's what I heard, and then dropped a couple of their names of Sinead O'Connor, Cindy Lauper.
Yeah.
We're just name dropping people we've had a joint with.
Yeah.
But should we swing into, like you said, maybe it's just a stereotype for the musician smoking pot, and maybe some things are a stereotype for a reason. But the pharmacist in me was interested in, no one here is 19 anymore, and they're now using cannabis for other stuff. It's not just fun anymore.
Yeah, for sleeping. Well, and as Desiree said,
sleeping and arthritis
but also, we talked to David Crosby, and he said, I'll take the guitar off the wall and I'll go smoke a reefer, or I'll have one of my wife's cookies and I'll see what comes out. And stereotypical, some artist is picking up his guitar, smoking a spliff and playing his guitar, but not always, and not in this case. I mean,
that's an excellent callback. I specifically remember Crosby because you think about, used a drug or two in his day, but him specifically saying, no, I'm not, waking and baking, being high all day. I've got shit to do.
Yeah.
And that reminded me a lot when Desiree was saying, when she's going off to write songs, whether it's in Nashville or out of the lake, similar to what I'm doing now, of course, no songwriting, she is free of intoxicants because that's how her process works. And just, famously high David Crosby, same sort of thing. During the day, I've got shit to do. Of course I'm not high. In the evening, after supper, I don't have any more stuff to do. Why not? So just, the whole constantly high or constantly drunk just doesn't work. And nicely, because I know you are going to be all over this, but again, maybe not a surprise. What do you think about Desiree's thought about in the past, the musicians she's played with drunk versus musicians she's played with high?
Yeah, exactly, right? Alcohol versus cannabis. And I mean, I have gone to concerts, or even bar bands where the music is good. They're playing good music, but they're bombed and they're stumbling around and it's not fun. Whereas gone to a lot of concerts and the guys are high and they're digging in. So we've said this 1,000 times. Would you rather bust a party of 100 people with a Mickey of vodka or a party with 1,000 people with one reefer? People are calmer. So as an employer, I mean, she is the band leader. She's the employer. I'd rather have my guys high. They come to work,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
They're still, like Desiree said, they're still professional musicians. We have been paid to show up for this gig, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability.
yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah, and so again, cannabis is seen as a positive thing. I got one of the reasons why I said up front that it's important to watch this particular podcast on the video is when Michelle he starts to talk. He's obviously on his porch, and he's obviously participating in a ceremonial hoot with us, and decides to talk in the middle of it and starts coughing. You got to see the faces on the team as we're waiting for this guy to cough his way through a stereotypical reefer. So that's what I was saying so there we had it. We had a guy that obviously, cannabis is legal. I enjoy it recreational. And the rest of the team, they're out there. Some of the team is out there beforehand having a hoot before they go on stage, and some of them using it for sleep. This is a traveling country band.
Well, it is. And I'm hoping I have the name right, and if I don't, Renee can fix me. But I think it was Bram who, at least recently, had property in Vancouver and sort of had intimate knowledge to, maybe not Vancouver, BC in particular, and had intimate knowledge about
Deep Cove. That was Michelle. That was Michelle. And it was in Deep Cove. I know the area.
Yeah, about how you needed. What's the word I'm looking for? Controversy over the smell of cannabis. Is it a good idea for you to be on your deck and have people smell it? And their condo board voted no. And now all the cigarette and other smoke had moved inside. And I'm not saying which is right or wrong, but this is with legalization, this is going to come up more and more. And I guess sort of as a society, we've got to sort of think about what's the right way to go.
Well, in the province of Manitoba, and I say this in the thing, is that if you live in an apartment, go smoke outside, but create a designated area, right? I don't agree with smoking anything indoors. Tobacco, cannabis, just don't smoke it indoors, man. It just doesn't make any sense. Go outside, go on your balcony, go to a designated area. And Manitoba does allow us to have a designated area if you live in a communal place. So, yeah, I found that really odd that they all chose to allow people to consume inside because they're all sharing the same air, right? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And the band, Desiree, Bram, Michelle, thank you very much for sharing not just the Neil Young stories, which were really cool.
Yeah.
But no, we've all heard what goes on the road. It was nice to get a little glimpse and sort of how cannabis fits into, this is their workplace. This is like me being at the pharmacy. Do I need an Advil because my knee is sore for standing for 8 hours? It's that kind of
interesting.
It's that kind of thing.
Oh, but go out and have a hoot from your medicine and see what happens. That's a whole different podcast.
Well, that's a whole different podcast. But that's it. People at my work talk about things like I work in a predominantly female thing, so are there people at my job who are taking things for their menstrual cramp or their migraine to get through the day? Absolutely. And are these people at their workplace taking something to, help them sleep because they go through a bazillion time zones, or to help with their achy joints from, standing all day at a festival? Different medicine, different group, but it was interesting to hear. And anything else we need to know about Desiree and her band other than they're off to Germany?
No, yeah, going off to Germany. I didn't fact check myself. I guess I'm gonna have to fact check myself. Is Germany medicinally legal? Hey, buddy, Michelle, don't go there on Kirk's thing before you fact check me. Anyways, I'm Kirk Nyquist. I'm the registered nurse, and we're at reefermed.ca. Check out our webpage.
I'm Trevor Schufelt. I'm the pharmacist. You can find us on most of their social medias at Reefer Medness. Kirk especially is really big on the LinkedIn, and I am there relatively often too, but we definitely have some Instagram, some Facebook, the occasional X/Twitter if I get around to it. But yeah, look for us on the social medias and go to your favorite podcast player and leave us a review. It does really help.
Like us. Peace and love. Like us. Peace and love.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to everyone later.
Bye-bye.
Check out the complete library of Reefer Medness episodes at reefermed.ca. And make sure to follow us on all the socials for bonus info on what Trevor and Kirk are up to.
I
Yeah.
was like, yeah. Oh, sorry, Des.
I was just gonna say that I wish these guys would eat a little bit more so we didn't have to make so many damn stops on the road.
Well, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
You're grabbing all that junk food. Yeah.
You know,